We all have inflection points. Everybody at this show has a different risk tolerance. What you can sleep with on your pillow at night, what you can sleep with your pillow at night is completely different. There's no right or wrong answer, but that, I believe, has a lot to do with what you're willing to commit to do.
Welcome to the Matthews Mentality Podcast. In this episode, we have the privilege of hosting a longtime friend of mine, Brian Wood, founder and CEO of BC Wood Properties. I love this part. At only 22 years old, he purchased a 31,000 square foot shopping center. Is this true? 22?
True story.
All right, I'm gonna ask a lot of questions about that. And has overseen the growth of BC Wood Properties to be one of the largest retail landlords in the country over the last almost 30 years. I got the invite the other day.
June 7th.
June 7th, 30 years.
30 years.
Wow. 31 properties, over 4 million square feet, hundreds of millions of dollars of value. We'll dive into how you did all that. Brian, thanks for coming on the show.
Appreciate it.
We're here at ICSC at the big convention, so that's what some of the background noise. It's actually kind of cool. It gives you a little energy. People walking behind this booth, hopefully they don't try and mess with us. But how you been?
Been doing good.
What ICSC show is this for you?
So not consistently, but 28.
28. This is my 20th.
Yeah, it's amazing how time flies by and how the experience at ICSC has changed and evolved over the years. The vibe and so forth going on today, I would say, is a little bit different than it was 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
But it's still a place to make new relationships and to reestablish old ones, for sure.
And you're in Kentucky, right?
We're based out of Lexington, Kentucky.
And is that where you've been your whole life?
Whole life, born, bred.
I heard the police officers in Kentucky can get a little rough sometimes. Is that true?
It was an embarrassment that just recently happened at the PGA event. I'm sure that it was handled differently with the Louisville Police Department.
Yeah.
I don't have too many positive things to say.
It was fine. It makes a great story, and frankly, again, I've God bless not to have ever been in that position, but man, what a G. Scotty Scheffler gets arrested and goes out and shoots 6 under. I mean, that's going to be the best thing.
The first hole.
That's going to be the best thing that ever happened to his career. Like, he's a legend forever. Not that he wasn't already.
He's geared differently.
Yeah.
So, he absolutely has a different intensity.
He does.
I think than most other players. That's why he's number one.
I love how he was rested at, don't quote me on this, 6 a.m. And, he shows up to tee off at whatever noon, and there's guys with shirts made with his mugshot. I was like, it's
quick.
That's quick. And yet he blocked it out and birdied the first hole and had a great day. But speaking of legends, so what does a day in the life of Brian Wood look like today?
The day in the life of Brian Wood is pretty consistent. It absolutely get up early. Right now,
what's early for you?
Early's 5 something.
Okay.
We have a new black male lab
I'll do it to you
at the house, and it's on my schedule. So
that's how it always happens. It's always on the dad's schedule.
And so the first job is obviously to get him out, but the next step is definitely hitting the gym, and that is the most important thing to get my day off on the right foot from not only a physical, get the blood flowing.
Home gym? Do you go somewhere?
I have a home gym.
Home gym.
But
and
it's
what
nice.
What is the workout routine like?
So I work out.
You're looking kind of buff. I figured you might be on like that frat boy workout, like biceps, triceps, some bench.
Don't forget to squat.
No, they don't squat. It's too hard.
No, I am a big Peloton guy. I have all their
do you
pieces.
Compete in all the groups and everything?
I like running in some of them, yes. Yeah. And but also that 2 days a week I work out with a trainer at lunch as well. So I work out in the mornings and then have 2 days a week with the trainers to do something different in the weights department. And then Sunday's more of a place of yoga and
So 7 days a week?
7 days a week.
Wow. Has that always been part of your life?
Absolutely.
Really? Going back to
Absolutely.
22.
Absolutely. And that's, I figured out, Kyle, at a young age, I like to do hard things.
Yeah.
I think that is a personality that.
Well, you did choose retail, so.
Retail, absolutely. But I like to do hard things. And that could be on the physical side with the triathlons and the marathons that I've been fortunate to finish. But it's also gets into your mental game plan. It's something that once you commit to it, you have to be persistent. And doing hard things is something that I know is my style. Consistency in order to be successful, I think, is one of the things that has evolved into business. So yes, working out, then hit the office, maybe another workout at lunch. I don't like doing a lot of lunch meetings. I enjoy breakfast meetings with people. Hey, they're cheaper, especially when I'm buying them.
You hear this? See that? This is my thing. That's not a paid ad. I teach all these young men and women at Matthews. I said the breakfast meeting is the hack. I said, first of all, it's the cheapest meal of the day. And most young brokers are starving artists, right? Like, and the second thing I said is the lowest opportunity cost of your time, because if you can meet someone from 6:37 to 8:39, then at 9 o'clock, you still have time to make your calls and go on your, your work meetings and things like that. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Got to make that an audio clip. Zach, clip that out, make it its own separate post. Okay. Hell yeah.
I'm here to support it.
Ooh, man, I'm glad we role played this. Anyway, that's awesome. All right. Breakfast meetings.
Yeah. Then, hit the office. And, one thing that kind of evolved kind of post-COVID at the office on specifically Mondays is, we have a 9:30 kind of mandatory meeting with all department people. And we try to have a hard stop inside 30 to 45 minutes, depending on what we're discussing. But everybody knows everybody's schedule. Everybody kind of has connectivity at the beginning of the week. And so that's, and everybody has kind of their goals that they're trying to, I've got to deal with this tenant, or we're trying to attack to get this property purchased, or whatever it is. So everybody, I think having a consistent game plan in your office, inside your culture, once a week is really important to me. And it's really made a difference in Lexington, where we are. But then moving on from there, afternoon is more based on follow-up stuff that I haven't done. We all have to-do lists. I'm a big to-do list. The first part of the day, a lot of times the to-do list does not get taken care of, even though I want it to.
Sure.
Because something gets added on.
I know all about that.
Yeah. And so usually the second half of the day, honestly, I'm kind of reeling to make sure that same game plan does not get copied till tomorrow or the next day.
Of course.
And so it's my cover in. But usually I will work as late as it takes to get a project done or whatever it is. But consistently, I try to get back to the house. We usually have dinner together, and we're working part of a farming type deal. So we're out taking care of some stuff.
I know. I'm a gentleman farmer.
That's exactly.
I got that 50 acres. I'd probably not farming like you are, but no, I know what that's like. Then if you forget to close the chicken coop, the bobcats get in there, or the raccoons.
That's a mess.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. But I'm a gentleman farmer as well. So, but the one thing that the farming process has done, and that's how I grew up, is that it kind of swipes away a lot of red tape that I dealt with during the day. Sense of accomplishment. And getting just the small stuff done, it lets me relax by the end of the day so I can hit it again the next day.
Well, let's talk about how you grew up. You grew up in Kentucky.
Yes.
What was it like as a kid?
So growing up, I grew up mostly with my grandparents. My grandfather grew up in a divorced game plan. My mother was a tremendous school teacher. But because of that, I spent most of the time with my grandparents, and they were farmers. Typical day of Brian Wood growing up, going through elementary, public, junior high, and so forth, was I got up every day at 4:30 in the morning. I'd go to the farm with my grandfather. We'd do our chores, whatever that meant that day. He'd take me to school. I'd go to school. I'd come back, he picked me up after football practice, and we go finish what we didn't finish in the morning. That was every day. That's how I grew up. I'm an only child. And what that did for me, Kyle, was it instilled work ethic. My first job was a nickel a gate, and I had to open and close it. And it just instilled some values of hard work, not scared to get up early, not scared to have him stay late to finish the job. But that being said, just really cut my teeth in those ages of where he gave me stability, but he gave me reward as well with the work ethic that was instilled.
Was your dad wasn't?
My father, it was a standard type situation. Saw him every other weekend type thing, was close to him, but I just didn't have that much day to day with him.
Yeah.
Loved him, everything else.
Nobody in the real estate business in the sense you and I are, though?
No.
And
I started the company from scratch.
And so, all right, we're going to get there. So junior high, high school, what type of student were you?
C.
Yeah. C's get degrees, baby. C's get degrees.
C.
Well, they always say A's become doctors, B's become lawyers, and C's go into real estate.
That's
you and
right
I.
up the runway, baby. Right up the runway.
Thank God for real estate. And so C student.
Yeah, the C student through high school, had a normal high school experience. During the high school game plan, I had started a couple businesses from the stuff that you would do, lawn mowing, the detailing. Back then, we got paid for recycling.
Was it 5 cents a can?
It was everything. No, it was a little more than that.
Yeah.
I think I got up to 10 cents by the time I quit. But anyway, that's when they paid you to recycle.
Yeah.
And then from there, that evolved, and I started investing my money. With those proceeds and so forth, I go into a small liberal arts college called Transylvania University in Lexington. It was a good fit for me. But during that time period, by my sophomore year, with some of the investments and so forth I made, I'd put together my first $100,000.
Wow.
And
that's a lot of money for today, let alone.
Yeah, sophomore.
30.
I remember the day I was walking down Main Street and in Lexington, Kentucky, and I remember the day that I hit it, and I was like, what am I going to do next, right?
Yeah. So, do you, I hear this a lot. I don't want to lead you here, but do you find you set a measurable goal, when you hit it, you just move the goalposts?
I know this really sounds bad.
Yeah.
I don't think I appreciated $100,000 for my age. Okay. And I mean that in the sense of, I never realized at the time how much money it was, even though I've been busting, 3 jobs. I was even rolling tennis courts at the country club at 4:30 in the morning to make a couple grand in the summer.
Wow.
I never appreciated it. So I just looked at it as a number, and I was just going to keep working.
Why were you so motivated? Was that just how you were born? Now, and again, I am going to lead you here. Do you think it had something to do being the product of a divorced family, like chip on your shoulder in an era where maybe that wasn't as common? I'm not trying to go fishing here.
No. But I just think I grew up in a throwback generation of where work was work.
Hard work was a virtue.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And just growing up in a throwback generation, to where it helped propel me. I'm just going to get up every day, and I think, and I know we'll get to it, but I just really keep kind of consistency, persistency of continuing to move forward. And but at the time, sophomore, I was very blessed to have a great mentor in my life. His name was Buddy Cowgill from Lexington, Kentucky. He basically invented it was called Studio Plus, which eventually became the extended stay hotel concept.
Yeah.
He took his company public, sold extended stay, but along the way, he had several multifamily units, just thousands of them. But he has been with me, talked to him once a week. And he was the father of a girl at the time I was dating, and I was very, very fortunate that he took a liking to me. And he helped me invest that first 100,000 with a money manager out of Pasadena, California. It took
Sure.
$100,000 to get in.
Oh,
And he goes, and I gave him several options, I had this thing, and I risked it all. So socked it, sent it away my sophomore year at college, and kept going. And by the time I was a junior, it was down to $40,000. Had lost 60.
oh no.
And then by the time,
Was this like a legitimate enterprise?
yeah, it was a fund type.
And it was just a bad market or something.
It's just bad
I
market.
gotcha.
But I was like, I don't know how long it took me to make that
Yeah.
money. And then I didn't get upset about it. I just kept going. But by the time I was graduating from school, and during the course of this time at Transylvania, my father had gotten sick. I had to take care of him. I was going to graduate in 3 years, and ended up being 4. But that time period was pivotal. Not only the money that I worked hard for going away and on paper, but it was also pivotal to where I had to see what was important, being the only child, taking care of my father, but also because of where my parents' situation was when they were divorced, their deal with college was this: they paid for half of my schooling. I had to pay the other half. It was 11,600 a year. I was living in this dorm. I'm sure you can imagine an old concrete dorm and all the sports and everything else. 11 by 14 room with a roommate, non-heat and air conditioned. And I got frustrated my junior year. And that's what drove me to go out and find a house to buy. I went to 7 banks to get a loan. Every one of them is back in the days, and they had this thing called an answering machine.
Mm-hmm.
You remember at the house?
I remember.
They had the little answering machine.
Yeah.
Well, come to do the tape. Sorry, Mr. Wood, your tax return's just, I'm sorry. Can you get a cosigner? Mr. Wood, we're sorry. You've been declined. Mr. Wood, we appreciate you stopping by. If you want to come back by and maybe do a car loan or something else like that, we're happy to help you, but we can't do the house. I finally got a loan after going to 7 banks without a cosigner. Bought it, rented it out room by room to a lot of my fraternity brothers. And I was in the real estate business in college. So post-college, during my senior year, I got involved in the construction business. I swept out houses. I carried piss buckets, worked with contractors, did all that, and learned a lot about the construction business. And the individual, the builder who I was working for, he taught me a great deal. After graduating from college, I started doing some duplexes, townhomes, single family units with him. So I'd already started that right at the time of graduating from college and partnering with him.
And was there a moment when you said, this is what I want to do in my life, this real estate thing?
This real estate thing I enjoyed. It was something different from my personality all the time.
Passive income have something to do with that?
Well, passive income, but it was about building a balance sheet, net worth. We all know that real estate's one of the best businesses to do that. From there, evolving, I was at, we started building some rental units, and I went on my own, started optioning some subdivision lots and building duplexes and so forth myself. I was at a fraternity brother's wedding, found out about a partnership that was splitting up, and they were in the shopping center business. I was in their office the following week and said, I'd like to buy your shopping center.
Did you know anything about shopping centers?
Did not know what a CAM expense was, did not know
That's
anything.
Great.
But it was even better than that.
Ignorance is bliss, right?
Ignorance is bliss. But what was even better about that, Kyle, is that I didn't have the money. I had a little bit of money on paper from these duplexes and these towns, my little investment that I made, and moving in the first part of college, that had grown a little bit, but I didn't have a couple $1 million.
Did they know that?
I told them. I said, look, I need you to carry a second on this piece of property and I'll buy it. And I was very fortunate that they carried a second note on it so I could close.
They probably are like, this poor kid's going to give us this property back. We're going to foreclose on him.
Yeah, it was just a blessing. And it's actually, it was going into that, my first year. You'll love this. First year, I get in an argument with my largest tenant. It was only 31,000 feet. I get my first lawsuit.
Oh, geez.
That was a long night.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the argument about?
They owed me money, and then they were parking cars when they weren't supposed to. So I got frustrated because I was young. So I decided to start towing all their cars without giving notice.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So anyway,
So how'd you figure that? Did you just, I guess, figure out managing a shopping center through trial and error?
So through trial and error, but also I knew in the commercial real estate side of it, I could get off balance sheet. My pocketbook was only so big to do residential type projects. I knew from majoring in finance and management from Transy that it was a way to continue to move forward, to get off balance sheet, to get bigger loans and so forth.
And this was mid 90s?
Yeah, 94.
And so that's when you started BC Wood.
Yeah.
And what happens next?
Well, BC Wood, as I like to say, has been through, you say, 28 years, right?
Yeah.
30. I can go back and looking through those past 30 years, and I'm really doing that this year specifically, but of inflection points. Everyone here at this show, even though they don't want to admit it or they can't put their thumb on it, have an inflection point within their personal life and their business. And you can put those in different spots. I was there at that location at the right time to find out about that opportunity. Inflection points for me, this is kind of going quickly through, and I'll get to your final answer, but and going through the path of the last 30 years, it was that first house of going to 7 banks to move and get forward into the real estate business. It's going and not being scared to be told, no, I'm not going to carry a second mortgage so you can buy this deal. It's when another major inflection point of where, 9/11 resonates for everybody. Everybody knows where they are.
Yeah.
I was at a conference room table. I was the backup offer on a $10 million shopping center, which I was 29 years old. I was, $10 million. And, that was the biggest thing I'd ever tried to attack by myself. And sitting at the closing table, being the back offer, I had to close that day. On the screen at the bank conference room, we saw the first plane hit the tower. I'm at the closing table. At that point in time was another inflection point of what my real risk tolerance was. I knew the markets were getting ready to close. We didn't close. There's a trust that was selling. They said they were just going to keep it, and they were done. I pushed send. 20 minutes later, everything shut down. But what that property did for me, besides being $10 million, it brought my company to where we became a full service operator, from construction, leasing, property management, everything else. I was able to roll everything in one with the size of the property it was, with what we had to do to re-tenant it, to move forward. That risk tolerance that I had, that inflection point said something to me that I can get through. I'm going to keep getting through and move forward with things. Just like having the perseverance to go to 7 banks. And then from there, that opened the doors to BC Wood. Then we were able to move into the Louisville market I was able to, go through those challenges. And along the way, Kyle, during this little expansion of 22 to 29 before that $10 million deal did, I had to sell the car to make payroll.
Wow.
I had cash flow. At the time, I was redoing a drugstore. They owed me $500,000. I'd been married for a year. I go home. I said, honey, we have to sell the car. Now, we have cash flow, but we don't have cash.
Yeah.
And I know I can't make payroll in a couple weeks. We sold the car on a Thursday. The following Tuesday, They paid me the money they owed me. I didn't go back to buy the car. But having the all in along the way, not only to clean out the bank account that time, clean out the bank account at 29 to close it when 9/11 was going on. And then 2 years later, year and a half later, clean out the bank account again to grow to Louisville. And then pay $40+ million for several centers in Tennessee. That was the wherewithal it took to get to where BC Wood is today. And what that means is we all have inflection points. Everybody at this show has a different risk tolerance. What you can sleep with on your pillow at night, what you can sleep with your pillow at night is completely different. There's no right or wrong answer, but that, I believe, has a lot to do with what you're willing to commit to do. There is a huge, significant difference between being 99% in and 100% in on any relationship, any place you want to put with your family. There's a big difference on that 1%, and that's the difference between succeeding and failing.
It sounds like you had a very high degree of risk tolerance. Is that safe to say?
I believed in myself.
Yeah. Did you ever allow yourself mentally to go to a place of what if this asset doesn't perform? What if I don't sell the car in time and miss payroll? What if I hit send on the deal, or I hit send and 9/11 really does fundamentally alter the way our entire life is? How did you work through that, or how did you process it?
I guess to my downfall or benefit, I've always had the ability to compartmentalize certain issues, to be able to continue to multitask on things that might be going well. And knowing that I have this bucket here that we have a challenging asset, we're not going to get our money back on this. But I've always moved forward because I know that you fall off the bike if you stop moving. How has that evolved over the years? I now really, moving forward with BC Wood, is continually to be more intentional about certain aspects of whatever I'm focused on. More of a rifle approach versus shotgun. I was younger. I was trying to do other things. I did ground up partners and ground up Kroger deals to subdivisions to everything else. So, had office one time, had 200 apartment units at one time. Really a rifle approach where BC Wood is heading into the future, and being able to absorb some of those doors, because we're not perfect.
When you started BC Wood, what was your life like in terms of your weekly schedule, your work-life balance,
I think a big part in the middle part of my career, the best thing that ever happened to me was having 3 boys. 3 boys where I coached baseball for 14 years consistently, and was on, did the club. Then one of my sons switched over to soccer, so that evolved into soccer club. That kept me sane.
It was like your outlet.
It was my outlet. It was so fulfilling to see kids come up from wee ball, then go on to play college baseball.
Did you control your emotions on the diamond?
I actually got thrown out of a baseball game because my son hit his first home run.
Oh, you just got so fired up.
I got fired up.
That's excusable.
So it was little things like that.
Yeah.
But it allowed me to have connectivity with them through the windshield time that you and I have had multiple conversations about. The windshield time is some of the best parts of my life that kept me sane, to help give me answers and addressing what they were going through. But I was able to put them forward in business and with other relationships, because after 30 years of being in it, we wouldn't be in it if we weren't doing something right in a sense of relationships, or people wouldn't come see us, we've been flushed out, I guess, is what's happened. And now I tell you what gets me excited. So what gets me excited is that a lot of these kids that I coached I had them come in as interns. They're now going off and taking great jobs, and they still call me up and say, "Hey, Coach Wood, I got a question for you."
That's nice.
Every time I get one of those phone calls, because I always told all my teams, I said, I don't care how bad it is, you call me at any time, and we'll get it handled.
I think it's one of the big hierarchy of needs is affirmation, which paraphrases the desire to feel that there's meaning to your life or that you have value. And that's one of those, when they give you a call, it's like, okay, well, I guess someone needs me,
It's
a good feeling.
It is a great feeling. And it was all that sweat and tears, me raking the baseball field or taking them home because their parents forgot to pick them up or something along those lines. And I've just been blessed to be in that situation.
My favorite because I coached 7th grade football boys, and I just like messing with the kids, man. I'm cooking them every practice on jokes about their hair, their smell, their socks, their shoes. Like, and I love it. My wife's like, "How do you not get complaints?" I was like, I don't know. They always smile. I love it. It's a special time. But let me take a couple steps back. I'm just thinking one of these days I'm gonna get in trouble. I'll just take a couple steps back. So you started BC Wood. Married young, right?
Married young.
And so how did you balance, balance the word, but how did you manage being such a driven person professionally, but then your commitments and responsibilities at home?
It was challenging.
And again, the 3 boys helped, but there's still a reality that.
There is reality there. And, for full disclosure, my marriage lasted over 20 years. We just recently threw a divorce 5 years ago. And, through those turmoils and challenges of that inflection point, that personal inflection point in my life, it really allowed me to see what was important. But I knew the team that you put yourself around, right? You are building a tremendous team here at Matthews. That's not easy. That is not easy. I am blessed with a tremendous team at my office. The culture, what can we do to help you? Going through that change of environment, to answer your question, it didn't work out. Did the best I could all that ways, but I got remarried and there's a blessing to that. I have a beautiful 16-year-old stepdaughter that is awesome. Now, let me tell you something. It's a little different between 3 boys and 1 daughter. That is crazy.
Different. It's different.
But I love it. Makes me think differently. I love it.
I got 2 boys, 2 girls,
Oh, totally different. I mean,
the girls are tough.
I
got 2 girls with 4 personalities.
Oh, it's
yeah.
and I like that. But the personal game plan, I get a lot of satisfaction of when our team does better for them. I'm a big push in furthering education, the team culture of foundations and fundraisers that we do and give. We host golf tournaments. We do a lot of things. It's kid-based, like big brothers, big sisters, like foster care, stuff of that nature, based around kids. Because I still believe that the kids are the biggest outlet for you and I as we get older, but also for our companies. And what comes up through the ropes, we're helping them get better. So I'm a big component of that is helping the younger generation.
We got 200 interns starting in three weeks.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. That's a lot of kids.
That
Matthews University. You see that plug, Zach? Matthews U. Yeah. 200 interns across 20 some odd offices for 60 days.
Are you going to bring them all at once into one location first?
No. I mean, that's too, I don't even, that would be a big space. No, we got, depending on the size of the office, some offices could be 5, some it could be 25, but generally we'll 10 to 15 in an office, and they do 3 to 4 lessons a day for 60 days. And then they get assigned to a team and they work on projects and lots of fun, lots of competitions. You know how it is.
I like it.
Yeah, we have a good time. They learn a lot. But yeah, no, The youth is very important.
Yeah.
Both within your personal household, but also professionally.
Absolutely.
You started a bank at one point. Did I hear this?
Yes.
What that was news to me. Tell me about this bank.
We started.
You got
a bank.
some money I could borrow at low interest rates.
I was, in a time period of early 2000s, I was really going to a lot of banks trying to find people to lend me money.
Mhm.
I mean, and I really want to understand what bankers were thinking to help me be a better borrower. And basically,
why'd you say no?
Yeah, exactly. So there was an opportunity to do a significant investment in a startup bank down in Naples, Florida. I jumped and I put eggs where my mouth were, and I became involved in that. And it took a lot of travel. Had a lot of great people there, and but I loved knowing who was saying no to me and why. I mean, I understand you don't think it's rocket science, but there's so much behind the scenes that take place in the banking worlds that we're all accustomed to, I guess, in some way or fashion. But then we were blessed to build some assets, do a couple of raises, and then sold it in 2006. And we were the last.
That's good timing, right?
The last bank out of Florida before everything
turned.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the GFC. How was that for your retail operating company?
The GFC for the retail operating company. I tell you,
you've wiped it from your memory. It was that painful.
It was that painful. I don't. It's back to those drawers. Where I've known through not making the best decisions sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've learned from them, and it makes me second guess sometimes, but still with consistency, perseverance, it keeps BC Wood going. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, I get it.
Yeah, I think it. Just keep moving.
Yeah, it was a brutal.
Yeah, it was a time of unknown.
Yeah,
obviously for all of us. I mean, the great financial crisis is significant. I wish I would have been able to have better equity stacks at the time instead of being by myself and having those relationships to dive in, because I would have really dove in consistently. Kind of the evolution of timeline that we've been discussing. Organically grew the business to a little under 4 million feet up to 2012, and had a great team around me with a recovering attorney, who a COO, King, who you've met, and a great recovering banker, Mark, who you've met with the CIO side, and wanted to really kind of get them involved on the, being part of the business. So we decided to create our first fund. At the time, it was a great idea. With all that things evolving in 2012, we had a whole nother little hurdle, and we tabled it. Went back into the office and decided to really get our platforms correct. So we really were a little more operationally efficient. And so then we went out, we raised $43 million, and that was hard. It had a lot of doors closed. One of my goals every day is to be told no to. Even today, if I'm not being told no, that means I'm not asking a hard enough question or, sticking a needle. I think that's one thing that drives me. I like being told no. It could be the smallest things. But we're very successful in deploying that fund with 13 centers, 80% off market that we found. 2015, we came back with a follow-up, quick kind of internal type fund, totally set up differently with JV in mind, with 8 assets, bought those. And then we just recently, actually a year and a half ago, raised a third fund of over 100 million with more institutional endowment type stuff.
And is that looking for the bigger product?
That is, no, that would be part of a bigger product.
Oh.
But now my focus this year is to have more institutional relationships, people that I don't know, in the sense of the debt fund world, the different institutional world of the finance side. And it's evolved this year. Just even the people that I've met, all those little things have been changing and evolving, from debt funds looking at investing into life companies, making life company loans, to the capital stacks. The percentages are all over the place. Return profiles are all over the place.
Now you've been very successful over a long period of time, obviously in real estate and a bank, right? Mowing lawns. A lot of people would think that there comes a retirement, there comes a slowing down, but I feel like you're actually like accelerating.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just, I'm going to ask you two questions. Like, how would you describe to the audience, what is your mentality, your mindset, like in terms of like, well, this is how I tell you what my mindset's like. And then is that what's driving this? Like this kind of, I don't want to call it a recommitment, because you're always so committed, just like an acceleration of your pursuits almost.
I don't ever want to look back and go, what if?
Is that like a fear of regret?
I don't know if it's a regret question. I just know that my personality is what if I didn't, we've worked 30 years, and what if I didn't try while I still have some, I enjoy this business. I enjoy being with you. I enjoy talking about different opportunities. That keeps me going. The ups, the downs, the transitions, working through those together. And I just really like that. I don't wake up any morning that says I don't want to do this anymore in this particular thing. I'm fortunate to where I'm involved in other businesses, and most of the other businesses aren't real estate. We're involved in a cooperage.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are some?
Like bourbon barrels, make bourbon barrels. I enjoy that. We do that down in West Virginia. We have mills. I'm fortunate to be part of that group. To angel capital investments, and technologies and so forth. So I get to see that too. So most of the other things, even though I have skin in the game in the real estate business, being the core business, but I like playing with other things, farming, soybeans, stuff, animals, had a cow calf operation. So, I mean, little stuff of that. I enjoy that, but I still, yes, to answer your question, it's really kind of weird. I was thinking about that myself this morning, that I've just got a new resilience for some reason. That's just
like an invigoration.
Yes, I'm 52 years old. And I'm barely getting around. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just something that's happened. And if I can give you a little bit of that, or whoever, what the next meeting I have, because we're speed dating here, right? In the show. Yeah. If I can offer them just a little bit of energy they can take with them, that I enjoy. A little bit of optimism for them to go ask themselves to say, what if? What if?
And you've always been like that.
I don't know.
Like if I asked your parents or your coaches of your, whatever sport you played as a kid, would they be like, oh yeah, we always saw it. He was always like this.
The hardest worker they ever seen.
Yeah.
That's what they tell you. The hardest worker they ever seen.
And
a handshake's a deal.
Okay. The hardest worker part, if I heard you correctly earlier, that you attribute a lot of that, we talk about nature versus nurture, but certainly the nurture of
my grandfather
being out there with your grandfather.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. Not afraid to get dirty, not afraid to do other people's job.
Let me ask a personal question.
Sure.
Did you do that with your kids? You make them wake up at 4:30?
No. I didn't.
Right?
I can't lie.
I'm on this all the time. I tell my wife, man, we're too soft on these kids. Like, we're trying to manufacture adversity here.
I'm so pleased of how they're evolving and doing and work, and they see things differently than I do.
Yeah.
And which helps me understand other issues in today's climate and so forth. The boys, are all very different personalities.
You never give birth to the same kid twice.
That's exactly right. But even my stepdaughter, Bella, she's she has added so much color about how I address and look at things as well. So they all complement each other in different ways, and they're all have their downfalls, but they also have a lot of positive things to help.
Oh man, I'm one of five, and my dad always has a good way of simplifying things. Like, Kyle, kids are like stocks. They go up, they go down, they go down, they go up. He's like, they kind of just.
Never heard that.
Yeah, he's like,
I've never heard that. I'm gonna use that.
He's like, you have a good period where one of your kids is, could be for 6 months, could be for a year and a half. Like, they're kind of easy. And then like, oh, this is my easy kid. And then 2 years later, like, this is my hard kid. And your hard kids become easy. He's like, it's all phases. So his advice, the question I was asking was his advice was like, hey, don't get too up or down on any, like, you're a tough kid now. A couple years from now, you won't even believe it, but they'll be your easy one, and your easy one right now in 10 years will be your hard one. He's like, you just take it as it comes.
You got to have faith.
Yeah.
You got to have faith and believe that it's going to be better.
Well, you've had a lot of faith in yourself. What does the future look like for you in BC Wood? I mean, you talk about this reinvigoration, this energy that you just kind of leveled up. What are you going to do with that energy outside of workout?
Well, I'm gonna come see you down in Nashville.
That's right,
and we're gonna get it all figured out.
Yeah.
Currently the goal is to double the size of the company in the next 3 years.
It's a big
ask.
It's a big jump.
Big aggressive.
Because it's a big company.
It is big.
I know you've sold some assets, but it's still a big platform. Man.
It's a decent sized platform that we continue to see what we can do better every day.
Do the rest of the teammates know that?
They know. They've seen it lately with me.
They're like, oh, Brian's on one. Here we go.
Yeah, yes. Then they run. No, they don't.
No, they don't. No, you guys have been there for a long time.
No, I just really cannot speak more highly of the group I get to see all the time.
I got a question for you. All the people that you've seen, both at BC Wood, I mean, the guys I've known at BC Wood have been there for a long time, but so maybe not that much people coming in and coming out, especially Lexington, smaller market. But all right, let me ask the question. Within BC Wood, but maybe even just within the industry, what have you seen to be the common trait or traits in people who go on to achieve great success? And then like the opposite of that, what do you find is the biggest hurdle, handicap, the biggest thing that stands in the way of people achieving what they want in life?
I think the people, a lot of times in our industry, I think they swing for the fences. Okay. I think having consistency and be willing to hit doubles, keep moving the runners around base, as a lot to be is a big statement. Some people just try to jump through so much, and
doubles aren't as sexy, right?
They aren't, but they're consistent.
Yes.
And having that consistency, small stacks make big stacks.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't see that. Back to my original statement of why people move on or aren't successful and anything else, it's that 1%. It's that I am going to give 100%. The 99%, a lot of time aren't coming back next year at the conference. They were unsuccessful. The one thing that a lot of people on the unsuccessful side, what they don't realize is that an indecision is a decision.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone on my team knows I am the first one through that brick wall with them. Whether we mess up or maybe we succeed, I am with them if that's the decision that we're going to go with. But an indecision and decision. I can't stand an indecision. I understand you have to be patient have patience about a lot of things, but we're going to make a decision to wait till this time period.
Having the experience operating a company, practical kind of business question, do you see people, what is it, paralysis by analysis? They almost take too long waiting for this perfect answer.
Absolutely.
And you're like, nah,
you have to be willing to leap, Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle, you have to be willing to leap. Everybody's risk tolerance is different. How far can they jump? But you have to be willing to leap. And 99% of these people aren't going to do that. The other big thing of when interns come in and, we sit down in the office and go over stuff and they're trying to find direction, right? It's new in life. They have all this energy. I want to go do this. I want to go do that or thing else. I think the biggest clarity is with a lot of people, I said, well, it's really simple. They said, well, they want to be in business themselves or they want to go work with somebody else. Do you want to sign your own paycheck? It's really easy. If you don't work hard, don't believe in yourself, you're not going to have a paycheck to sign.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to take some of the weight off, the risk off? Someone else can sign your payroll check for you. And I think that's a big difference in young people's lives to kind of see what direction they have that entrepreneurial spirit that I want to start a company. I'm a live or die going in, try to get it done.
Do you think that you've been talking about the 1%, the 99, the 99, is that, can you learn or develop the ability to be in that 1%? Or is that just an innate God-given mindset?
I think it's back to the risk tolerance question. I really do. I know I'm not trying to be, I don't know, rare.
No. I got you.
I don't know what word.
Yeah.
I think that's I've listened to a lot of your podcasts and you're doing a tremendous job with the different coaches to other CEOs and so forth. And they all adapt to change.
Yeah.
On the field, off the field, right? We have to be willing to do that and stay consistent with our mission because we have a lot of people dependent upon us one way or the other. If it's at home, if it's at the office, and having consistency, moving in the right direction. But a lot of these people, being in business on their own, they have to be willing to leap. And a lot of people don't do that. Yeah,
it is amazing having the privilege really to have interviewed 25, what episode are we on, Zach? 20, 25, 26, somewhere in there. Just high achievers across all. Is three things I picked up on is you just touched on one, is the amount of curveballs everyone's thrown, both professionally and personally. Professionally, like one day my boss came and fired me, and this is what I had to do, or I got sick or whatever it is. And there's no like career there's no convenient career, right? For any of these high achievers. And so they just have to roll with it, right?
You have to roll with it, adapt, stay on the path. I think, and it goes back to death through analysis of what you're talking about. Some of those things happen and people just get stonewalled. If I get stonewalled, I mean, that's a lot.
The second thing I picked up on is just pure work ethic, just the grind. Like, and I mean, hours, everybody is like, well, talk to me about your life in your 20s and 30s. Or like, I worked, like I was in the office here and I stayed there and I work weekends and, and it's so many young men and women come out of college. They're like, I want to be a founder. I want to be a CEO. I want to be a mogul. And I want to balance my life. And you're like, I kind of, in my opinion, find those to be somewhat mutually exclusive. Like, and then the last is, and you hit on it perfectly. It's betting on yourself. It is that perfectly packaged answer that checks every box is almost never there. And at the end of the day, most of people sitting in your chair, yourself included, it's like, look, I'm going to make the call. Here's the call. And no, I can't tell you it's going to be the right call. I'll do my best to make it. But at the end of the day, it's on me. I'll live with the consequences. And I found those three to be three very common characteristics of people like you.
Well, I think you've identified me pretty well, Kyle, I guess.
Yeah. And it's been really cool to have all these conversations, and it's one of the best parts of the podcast, Zach. When they're like, you should do a podcast. Like, I don't want to do a real estate podcast. It's like, what type of podcast should we do? It's like, I'd love, like, this was what I was telling the guys about a year and a half ago when we started talking about this, was I'd love to explore really the psychology that drives people. First, understanding, is it nature? Were you always born like this? Yes. Is it nurture? For you, it's probably both. Yeah. Like you were probably always going to be a pretty driven guy, but maybe your grandfather really fostered and cultivated that,
Absolutely.
And then I'll ask you this question. What was your why? What was your motivation, let's say early on in your 20s and 30s? And how has that evolved over the years?
I think I don't like to be bored.
Yeah. Idle hands are the devil's workshop.
That's exactly right. And I think what that lent itself to was starting businesses and moving and adapting with wherever I was in a time period. I self-motivated. I've never had a problem getting out of bed in the morning. I don't even need an alarm clock. It's just something that is in me to get going. And what else am I going to do? I'm not the guy who's going to binge watch Netflix all day. That's not.
I will say, when I had COVID, I did binge watch Narcos.
Oh,
so
okay. Well,
if you ever find yourself in a bad spot, Narcos was great. But yeah, no, I hear you on that.
And the why is just I don't think I need a reason. It's just who I am. Back to the original start of our conversation. I like to do hard things, and that's just who I am as a person. And I'm never going to ask anybody to do something I wouldn't do myself.
Yeah, it's we hear that a lot, which is so powerful.
I'm not.
I think that's such a key characteristic of what you need in order to be a successful leader. The people who you're asking to follow, you have to say, would this person do it, or have they done it?
Mm-hmm. Probably in most cases, I've probably done a lot of it, not to their detail.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, not to their detail.
Yeah, that's a good point. What advice would you have for listeners who are? It could be in any stage of life. They're getting started in their career. They're in that not a midlife crisis. They feel stuck in a career and they're thinking about a change, but maybe they don't have the courage to do it, or they're thinking about starting a business. Like anybody, what advice would you have to say, here's something I'd tell you to do?
Come to terms and say, I'm all in. I'm all in. Create a team around you, whether it's a mentor, whether it's some family or whatever it might be, but also create a team around you that might not think like you do. That's not, walking the same track you're walking. They're walking a totally different path. I have found some of my best relationships have been people that are in some crazy business. They're doing one thing. And I'm like, God, I could probably implement that in this problem I have here. Surrounding yourself with a team. But the main thing is come to terms. I'm going to be all in no matter what. I'm going to be all in. And you can do it. Take a leap. Declare, I'm going to be 110 in, be 100% in, and move forward with it. And then I tell you what, whatever that idea, that crazy, crazy concept is, continue to believe in yourself and have patience. Be persistent. Be consistent. Get up every morning and say, who's going to tell me no today? Embrace the suck. You have to embrace the suck. And it's amazing when you go through those hard steps that we all have in our lives, stuff that was thrown at us or anything else. When you turn that around and say, oh, I'm the victim or something like that, they get people get paralyzed. But if you go at it and say, I'm going to embrace this suck, you just took ownership of this issue, this problem, and you can move on. Embrace the suck. And from there, watch out what you can achieve. I mean, no telling. I mean, look at Kyle.
Nah, we're not here to talk about me. That would make me uncomfortable. Brian, are there any resources that you recommend to the audience? This could be organizations, books, anything that have helped add value to your life.
I've read all the business books, as we all have, the life books. I'm reading this right now. What I'm reading, I carry around my backpack, and I do like paperback
Me
reading.
too.
I'm not a big fan of.
I don't like the Kindle thing.
No, I don't.
I like books.
Yeah, I'm a book guy.
Yeah, I feel you.
I'm reading a book by one of my favorite stores, which is, as my wife likes to call it, glorified redneck, but it's Kemosabe. They're out of in Vail and Aspen, and they have really beautiful boots and cowboy wear, but the founder wrote a book about it and about how they got to where they were today with chili cook-offs, starting the business from scratch. They didn't have money to make the lease payment, and now they're one of the best known stores for all sorts of cowboy type stuff. And I enjoy that because it was based on customer service to get up to your line. And how do you take that customer? It's about understanding your product. Does my team understand our product enough? Is there something that they're missing that we're trying to lease, manage, or do another fund for? Understanding what you have. So that's the book that I am currently reading. I like it because it's soft. I enjoy real experiences. I'm not much into the other types of reading, I guess.
I got you. And then a last question for you. If you could go back and give your younger self, the young Brian Wood, a piece of advice, knowing what you know now, what would it be?
Find some patience.
Yeah.
Find some patience. Maybe keep more of a rifle approach versus a shotgun approach, and trying to do everything as a younger individual. Mm-hmm. You have to do almost everything when you're starting a company and so forth. But I would say just a little more patience.
Got it.
A little bit more patience.
Well, your impatience has worked out very well for you. Just congratulations on everything. Can't thank you enough for being here and taking 90 minutes out of a very, very busy, valuable conference to come sit with us. That's not lost on me. So thanks for being here, and I appreciate your friendship over all these years.
Oh, thank you.
It's good to see you.